What's going on, guys? It's Keyboarder230 back again with another discussion video, and today I wanted to pose an interesting question, one that is sure to cause some mayhem, but it's interesting to think about for one last time. I'm sure some of you clicked this video to see me discuss some of the AOE theories in great detail, but this isn't going to be that kind of video. I'm not looking to persuade anybody into thinking AOE is going to happen for Attack on Titan, and I'm not here to put anyone's theories down. Instead, I thought I'd do something a little different, and really talk about AOE in a new light. With the release of the final episode literally right around the corner, should Attack on Titan really have an AOE? An AOE, or Anime Original Ending, simply is any ending that differs from the original source material, or manga. A large majority of anime follow the manga in their adaptation, give or take some minor differences here or there, as it's the most traditional practice to do so. However, there have been some adaptations in the past that have made their own conclusions to the story that's being presented. Some popular examples of AOE include the endings of Hellsing, Fullmetal Alchemist, Soul Eater, and Death Note, to name a few. Some AOE endings alter the outcomes of the final arc, while others are entirely made up whether because the anime is needing to wrap up before the source material has concluded, or because the anime ended up taking its own route entirely. Animes like the previously mentioned Hellsing and Fullmetal Alchemist demonstrate this best, as their adaptations were so drastically different that new versions had to be made to follow the manga instead of creating original storylines that were not present in the source material in the forms of Hellsing Ultimate and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's also anime original endings that change the details of the finale while not changing the content of the source material prior, and Death Note is a popular example of this. The 2007 anime follows the same beats as the manga counterpart up to the final episode, and the end results are basically the same, yet it's in the details and direction that are much different between the anime and the manga. In the original manga, Light begs Ryuk to kill the others before meeting his sudden, untimely end at the hands of the Death Note. However, the anime allows Light to escape, and a more dramatic sequence plays out. Light sees his life flash and pass before his eyes as he symbolically dies in the middle of a stairwell, staring back at the figure of the man who promised he'd be put to justice as Ryuk finishes writing his name in the sunset. Attack on Titan has followed the manga quite accurately, so obviously there wouldn't be a crazy split where the anime and manga differed greatly by the end. If there is an AOE, it'd probably be a few change in details like Death Note and just end about the same, I hear y'all saying. Except that's not entirely true. Attack on Titan has had some strange phenomenons with the details of some pivotal scenes. Eren wakes up terrified from a dream in episode 1, while in the manga, he awakens more naturally from what he describes as just some long dream. But the first questions he also asks Mikasa are different each time. Later in the first season, Eren and Armin have a discussion for what it means to throw away their humanity, which ends up being the motivation for Eren to transform. Not too soon later in the fight between Eren and Annie, Eren unleashes what the community refers to as the Berserk Titan and takes down Annie by himself whilst pronouncing freedom. While in the manga, Eren waits for the help of the scouts to take down Annie, and not a peep about being free is mentioned by Eren. Seasons 2 and 3 are pretty faithful to the manga, so it'd be easy to say that these changes were exclusive to the first season and that they were just special editions that will not impact the ending that's being written. However, that soon proved to be not the case as well, as by the time we got to the final season, more and more weird oddities appeared. In the season 4 premiere, Falco starts talking about what seems to be memories that are completely out of nowhere, and it seemed kind of interesting yet strange that they were requested by Isayama to be included in this episode. Around this time, the manga was already reaching its conclusion, and above all was a very decisive ending that shook the community. So when people started to look at the small details starting from the changes in season 1, it started to spark some discussion as some of these changes don't really add up to what the story was leading to. And most importantly of this was the realization that the changes in season 1 were only the beginning. When even official social media for Attack on Titan pointed out that something was strange about this episode with Falco, everything started to change, and over the course of time did we begin to wonder if AOE would be possible. In the final season part 2, Eden's visions before reaching paths add some peculiar shots of things not found in the manga, and his reaction is about the opposite of the one in the manga as well. And there's been lots of scenes from that point on that are clear opposites of the manga counterparts. Even in the final season part 3, Eren is shown to be in his founding titan, with his eyes open, looking down as a rumbling occurs. But yet, he has his eyes closed during the rumbling in the manga, which to AOE theorists is a very big deal. It's a whole lot to discuss, and we'd be here all day if I pointed them all out. From all the talks about how certain songs prove AOE, and how the theorized ending is the direct opposite of what occurred in the manga, but for the purpose of this video, these are about some of the most important changes made between the manga and anime of Attack on Titan. These are about the most common instances of changes that most prominent AOE YouTubers have pointed out. But what does it all mean? Well, without getting into the nitty-gritty, essentially the community is split in thinking that an AOE is on the table for Attack on Titan, one that will be a drastic change of events for the anime's highly anticipated conclusion. There are lots of people who are betting everything that an AOE has been hinted at for the longest time, and that any evidence used to prove that the manga's ending is still intact is just not shaking their beliefs that we are going to be thrown a major curveball at the very end. I myself happen to remember stumbling upon an AOE video by the user 0K quite a while back. I was sitting in a Whataburger drive-thru when I found the video, and by the time of me watching that video, getting the food, and heading back home listening to the whole thing, I was already convinced. I've been around the AOE discussion for a long time, but I've never really said anything myself because, truth be told, I've known about the manga's ending before I had even watched the whole series myself. And I know that's a crazy thing, but at the time I wasn't interested in the story. And back then I just had different interests in anime. When you watch Attack on Titan from the beginning with the knowledge that you have of the ending, it completely changes everything. But once I really started diving into more AOE theories, by the time that the final season part 2 concluded, I've never been more convinced that an AOE is going to happen. At this point, I feel it should have an AOE, because if it wasn't, all of these hints that have been going around the past couple of years would kind of all be for nothing. But I do believe it is going to happen. And if it does, it will definitely surprise both anime onlys and those who have already read the manga. I particularly wouldn't be upset if an AOE didn't happen, but it would kind of feel like a waste, to be honest. The other thing as well is, would AOE really happen in the anime, or would it happen in a sort of special? I think the obvious pick would be that it would be during a special. However, a lot of these hints towards an AOE have happened in both OVA format and the episodic anime format. So to say that an AOE would happen as a special would be kind of weird, because essentially you would have the anime giving you hints that an AOE is happening, it doesn't happen, and you instead have to watch a special that supposedly could contain a different ending. Why would it not be in the same format that it was teased in? At least that's the way I see it. I don't think an AOE should happen because the manga ending is trash, so to speak, but I do think the ending proposed by AOE theorists sounds pretty amazing if you ask me, and it would be so satisfying to see it all wrap up in such a unique way. I don't think I've really heard of a series where the manga actually affects the anime. It's such a bizarre decision, you almost want to see it for yourself. Like, I really can't contain the hype knowing that it's just a few days away. Another thing, do I think that AOE has been thought about from the very beginning? No, I do not think so. Because the production of season 1 was entirely different from the rest of the series, and it was believed at the time that those were the only arcs that were going to be adapted, so I can see Berserk Titan being a leftover idea from that original standpoint. However, since development changed, it's quite odd how Berserk Eren is never even brought up again, and how the changes in season 1 are not really addressed until much later in the final season. If an AOE wasn't happening, all of the references of Berserk Eren in the posters for the final season part 3 and 4 would not only be a straight up lie, but it would be the strangest thing to reference an anime original piece of content for the finale of the show, in which the manga has already concluded, to show no Berserk Eren. At this point, let him cook. Either way, I know we are going to be getting a great final product for the final season, part 4. Mappa has been absolutely killing it with the animation department, and I know Isayama is right behind them in deciding on how to fully conclude the series, so whatever he chooses, I'm on board for. It would be cool to see an AOE, but it doesn't have to happen. I'm right in the middle when it comes to picking a side, but I really do want to see it happen. I truly do believe Attack on Titan should have an AOE, and I know the community will still be split afterwards, but why not have a little fun with the idea? In any case, it's only a few days away from when we'll truly see what happens. So, if you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, share down below. But anyways guys, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, comment down below if you think an Attack on Titan AOE is coming, and share this video with others. And most importantly, subscribe and ring the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new discussions. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in new content. I'm cooking up quite a bit of stuff leading into the next year, so stay tuned. Take care, y'all.